So we got a good day today. Got some interesting stuff that's about to happen. Having a little sit down convo with some folks I admire. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting here reflecting on the day. Hold on. It's my boy LB calling me real quick. Yes, sir.
Happy birthday, my boy.
Spoiler alert, it's my birthday. But hey, appreciate it, bro. Appreciate you, man. That's love, you know. I know. I figured, bro. It's all good. You know what I'm saying? Just the fact that you called, that's all I need. Straight.
So enjoy your day, my guy. Let me know if you need anything, wrap up anything like that. I got you.
For sure. Love. Appreciate you, man.
Alright, man.
Alright.
Quan got a bang.
What had a bang? No, but for real though, man, it's gonna be a great conversation. I ain't been back home in a minute, so you know what I'm saying, getting a chance to chop it up with some of the guys, some of the people that, you know, play instrumental roles with me. Y'all will see shortly, but I'm sitting here reflecting because, as you heard, it is my 24th birthday. You know what I'm saying? 24 revolutions. You feel me? And it's a lot to be grateful for. You know what I'm saying? Health, wealth, family, friends, great people. So much accomplished in such a short amount of time, such a long and far way to go. I got my dad, my barber, been cutting my hair since I could walk, since I was getting haircuts, you know what I'm saying? Such a close family friend. And then of course one of my homeboys, I consider him a mentor, even though we're not that far apart in age, Sterling Tabon. Very big name in the Sumter, South Carolina area. If not yet, will be soon. So y'all please keep that name on your radar. And yeah, we about to hop into this, so hopefully y'all enjoy it. All right, so we about to get this road on the show. First and foremost, I appreciate y'all boys, man. I appreciate everybody being here. Appreciate this day, you know. Today we got to talk with Sumter's sons, you know. These are some of the most influential people in my life, some of the more instrumental roles played in my life right here. We got my dad over here to my right, by far biggest influence in my life, hands down, bar none. Biggest role model I've seen, biggest instrument in my upbringing and development. Long time barber, even cutting my hair since as long as I can remember. Jabaar Carmack Sr., you know, basketball trainer, barber, fashion extraordinaire, man of many hats, and last but certainly not least, a rising mogul and a influential instrument in this community right now. My guy, we went to Sumter High School together. A lot of battles on the basketball courts between practice and the YMCAs and JV getting beat up by varsity, etc. Sterling Tabon. What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing? Everybody doing good?
All right. What's happening?
Listen, man. I'm blessed to be here. I wasn't gonna plug myself this way, but I'm gonna do it because you only get to do it once a year. You know, special day is my birthday, guys. You know what I'm saying? 24. Let's hop right into it. So the concept of this series really is just casual conversation. You know what I'm saying? I really just want everybody to, you know, speak freely on the topics. You know, nothing's off the table, no opinions off the table. So whatever y'all feel, however it comes to you, just let it flow. And we'll just start with one of the things I always try to start off with whenever I'm having a conversation with anybody. Just was like, what was your welcome to the real world moment? You know what I'm saying? Everything happens in life. Everybody has so many different stories, different paths, but it's always that moment when it's just kind of all right, I'm in this life thing now for real. So what was that for y'all?
I would say real world moment for me probably was when I turned 30. For some reason, and I really can't explain it to this day, for some reason, when I hit 30, something shifted in my mind, my just psychological outlook on things. It's almost like a nervousness, or it was like a knock on your door. It's like you're really an adult now. You're really a grown man. And it's almost like I begin to look at my life and analyze some things. Like, am I as far along as I want to be? And I felt at that point in my life, I was like, at 30, man, I should be further along than I am now. I got so many goals that I haven't accomplished. But it was really a point that, like, you need to get yourself together. You're 30. It's time out for the games. It's time out for playing. Life is real. You got to get it together.
I'm gonna say about 23 years ago when my daughter was born, when I finally entered fatherhood. It was I didn't know nothing. I was young, but I knew I had to like hold myself accountable because I knew I had to take care of somebody that wasn't me no more. So that really was the start of me doing certain things and being an adult, getting into adulthood and taking care of somebody. And now I just can't buy me no sneakers. I got to buy her sneakers, diapers.
Yeah, I mean,
so that was my reality too.
I guess, but
welcome.
I mean, mine, I guess. Really, when I graduated grad school, which was last year, you know, I'm 25 right now, and so you know, your parents be like, you know, when people be like, yo, welcome to the real world. As a kid, you're like, yo, I mean, I've been living in it, but you don't realize that leash that you've been in, or like that bubble that been confining you, until you really get out and step out of that little shelter that you've been in. So I was off of school. I went to school in North Carolina for 6 years. You know, I graduated grad school in the middle of COVID, in the middle of like the social injustice stuff, you know what I'm saying, in the middle of all that. And so like, I think like really stepping out, you know, get doing the degree and the accolades, that don't really mean as much as actually getting to this world and seeing like, man, you gotta literally navigate. It's a game, you know, and life is not a game to play with, but it's a system that you got to play within, you know what I mean? And so I think for me, it kind of smacked in my head, like realize like, dang, I do need to track myself out to what I want to do when I'm 30, because for so long we've been like, I've got myself to this point, but now it's like levels I need to make after that. You know,
Let me tell you something. That COVID graduation, that people don't put enough respect on that.
It's
like
different.
That was a challenging time. I graduated in the fall, undergrad,
Right.
2020. That was just staying mentally focused.
Right.
When you got so many different distractions or so much different like downtimes, and just like it's almost like everything else is trying to stop.
Right.
But school, you know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
business still going on, but at the same time, like you gotta stay locked in, because like especially on the way out, like I'm on the back half, bro.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
You know, my hat's off to y'all, man, because y'all really, you know, I guess I won't say trendsetters, but y'all, you know, it's sort of a precedent. Y'all the first generation that had to do that really had to really do some of the things y'all just described, and just really, you know, plow your way, or as y'all say, thug your way through it. You know, COVID was real, but that was a challenge, you know, having to graduate, not only classes virtually, but virtual graduation and all that stuff, man. That was psychologically, because if you think about it, you put your sweat, your blood, tears, your money into that, and so everybody looks for that graduation day. Right. But then now to have to do that, and it's like, it was depressing for a lot of people in y'all's generation.
I think like a touch point, man. To me, it showed me like, strip all this extra rah-rah away. It's just me getting the added level of education. You know what I mean? Strip all this roll away.
My graduation was at the house.
You
We
know
watched
what I
it
mean?
on. We
Strip
watched it
all
on the
this away.
screen.
I think for real, it showed us like, yo, this world really scheming. It's scamming, because you gotta get your education. I ain't saying don't go to college. What I'm saying is understand like this is a tool.
This chapter of life we in now, how would y'all describe it? I'll say this. I probably would describe mine as like, I thought like college was my crawling phase. I thought college was like my like figuring things out phase. Now I'm 300, 400 miles away from home. You know what I'm saying? Like my bills come in, I'm paying my bills. My bill, like, you know what I'm saying? It's different. So I'm really crawling right now. So I consider this my crawling chapter. I'm really just trying to figure it out.
I would say for me, my chapter, I'm in a season of prioritization and balance right now. That's sort of my driving principles right now, or is prioritization and balance. Because for so long, especially from a professional standpoint, a career standpoint, I use a term and say, you know, I've sold my soul to jobs and careers in the past. You know, and I say that sort of loosely, but what I mean by it is you give your all. and you always feel like you have to work harder, to even compete. And a lot of things I've done historically, I've done at the expense of things that are most important. So you play this game, to what my brother here said. Sometimes you play this game and it's like you're okay. If I do this, then this is going to be the result. And at the end of the day, you really have to prioritize what's most important. And I'm at a season in my life now. It's like, you know what, forget this. This is what's most important. I got my priorities in line, and if whoever doesn't like it, they'll be okay. And so I'll just say to you guys, man, prioritization is critical, because there's so many things that are competing for your time, for your energy, for your resources. But don't neglect what's most important, because what's most important is going to always be there. So my life right now, I'm chilling. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to do what's most important. You're not putting no pressure on me. How about this? This is one of my sayings. I said, I'll share it with y'all. I'll give it to you free. I'm not receiving stress. I'm giving stress. So if anybody going to be stressed, it's going to be you, not me. That's the season I am in my life.
I'll take it. Sterling, you got some stuff. I'm not gonna put too much of your info out there, but you got some stuff coming up. You've been doing a lot of work, you know what I'm saying? So you moved back home. That was a big step. Like, well, talk to me about the chapter, man. How's it like? What does it feel like right now? Especially being back with where everybody kind of has moved on. Everybody kind of has settled in other areas of the state, or around the country even.
Yeah, I think I probably call mine is, I'm the season like breaking up and building in the same phrase. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So like coming back home, for so long you hear like everybody's ready for change. Everybody's ready for this and that. Something's missing this. Something don't got that. So I was off of school. I had the privilege to study public health. So the lived experiences that I had being in a rural town is stuff that they talking about in the academic sector. And I'm like, bro, I live this. Like, transparently, no white man can really tell me and put words on things that I already live. But it's cool that you gave me that word, so now I know how to use it when I come back home. Right. So that's why I'm saying I'm in the season of breaking up, because coming back, there's ideas and there's the things that we've been doing for 20, 30 years that as you come back home, you're like, man, this is how we do it. So it's a little bit tough for a younger guy coming back here saying, I want to give back, I want to find ways to provide resources. Then there's other people who are like, man, this is what we do. We already found these resources. Or, yeah, we do this too, but you did it 20 years ago, and it's evolved now. And so I say I'm in a season of breaking up, because you literally got to tear down infrastructures and systems that are old and like don't work anymore. You know what I mean? But also I'm in a season of building, because personally, I got to find mentorship. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people think education stopped after school. A lot of people stop even getting education or like pursuing mentorship at a certain point in their life. And where I gotta like really like pulling myself out here to find mentorship, to find people that's gonna fit my vision, and I'm gonna fit their vision, and so we can work together and get stuff done. And so like, every day I really am looking like, dang, like how can I get my partner to the next phase? And if I get him to the next phase, most likely I'm gonna get there too. Absolutely. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at.
My whole thing is branding my company.
You're doing it well, brother. I'm getting me a shirt after this over too.
Yeah,
let me know if you got a large or XL, holler at me. But
I've been fortunate, man, to go to a summit. And when I went to the summit, you got to be around like-minded people. So when I went and I came back, it's like everything, my whole paradigm way of thinking of things changed. So I came in here and changed up everything in my shop. I changed up everything. I wanted to make my IG page viewable. I wanted to start branding. I wanted to start having my shirts. I wanted to flood the city with faded barbershop material, but also I wanted to show love to all the other barbershops. Because there's this misconception of, well, man, you got the information. I ain't gonna show you. I ain't gonna do this. I ain't gonna do that. Because right now I'm in the process of studying to get my instructor's license. So I would go to different barbershops and I would ask them, because I knew they had the information. And they would be like, oh man, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, cool. So yesterday I went on Facebook and I gave a shout out to every barbershop in the city. And I was like, yo, hey, my doors are always open. If you need some information, if you need this, if you need that, I'm here for you. Because I have certain techniques on how I cut hair, and everybody be tapping in, but they scared to come through. And I'm like, man, hey, I'm here. You can come, you can do this. So I'm in right now, I'm about branding, putting Dion on. Dion is a major influence at Faded Barbershop. And I told him years ago, I told his mom, I was like, yo, I got a plan for your son, but I got to speak it into existence. So I knew he was going to be in here. You know what I'm saying? So now he's here, and he don't even realize it. And I told him, I said, yo, man, out of everybody else, and your dad told me something, he said, you don't fire people, people fire people. So I had people up in here, and they just removed themselves out of here. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to remove my hand, and I'm going to allow God to put his hand on it. So, you know what I'm saying? I got plans for this young man. Y'all better watch out. Dion is coming.
So why is that, though? You know, like when you was talking about the almost like the notion of being stingy with information. What, like, because I noticed that's not necessarily just something with barbers. Like it translates throughout the community. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not necessarily just specifically in Sumter, but you know, throughout the minority communities. Like it's almost like we don't want to share.
It's kind of like on some history stuff. We only been successful the last couple of centuries, like, you know what I mean? Couple of centuries ago, if not. And so it's generations that already passed this stuff down.
Yeah.
Where us, once we get to a certain point, we're like, listen, we here. I don't know what you got to do, but I figured myself out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's
Correct.
the issue with our own community is that they scared to give you the blueprint because they feel like you're going to steal the blueprint.
Right.
And it's dumb mentality because other ethnicities, they want to see each other succeed. That's the point of coming over here and doing what we do.
Yeah.
But like you said, man, I think a lot of people got issues with it. They feel like I got to be the only one that look like me out here. And, and if not, and there's somebody who's just like me, they gonna take my spot. You know what I mean?
Right.
Deric, he can video better than me. Why would I tell him the tricks of editing and stuff like that? He gonna take my spot.
Yeah.
But it's room for us to move out here. It's money out here for everybody.
Yeah. And here's the thing that I was thinking. I think one of the problems, to both y'all point, is we're looking at it as a competition.
Right.
And in a competition, you got a winner and a loser. So in order for me to win, you have to lose.
Wow.
But it's really not a competition. It should be a partnership. And in a partnership, everybody can win. But if I have that competitive mindset, you know, whether it's the Cowboys and the Eagles, excuse me, but I mean, if I have a competitive mindset, then that means in order for me to win, you have to lose. And so therefore I'm going to hold back my information because I want to make sure I win. But if in a partnership, we can all rise together. And I think that's the key.
And it's crazy because a lot of times they're not mad at you. They're mad that it is you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the crazy thing about it is they don't understand because they don't see the beginning of your process. People put a time limit on the process. There is no time limit. Like if they could go back to McCrae's Mill Road to Total Eclipse when they really saw, I call that the death row of barbershops. Like nowadays, like these kids, it's really easy for them. I mean, y'all got social media, y'all got this. No, back then, the barbershop would be packed. You'd be up in here cutting hair, you'll snap the cake, and you would be like, yo, who's next? And if you wasn't on your deem that day, man, you'd be up in here sitting down in the barbershop all day.
January 2020, 2020, year of clear vision, year of, all these new opportunities. And then boom, Kobe dies in a plane crash, world stops, everybody's in disbelief, TMZ saying it's fake, CNN confirming, everybody's just like, what's going on? March rolls around, global pandemic. Like, how have y'all been handling the last year and some change as of late? I'll tell you from my personal experience, like, I've witnessed a lot of heartache and trauma, but I've also tapped into a new level of focus, but also a new level of appreciation for the opportunities at hand.
I guess me, man, like, I guess I got the privilege and the opportunity to go through a year like how COVID was. You got to think about it. Like, when it first hit, younger generations, they was happy they got out of school. They was happy to be out of school. Like, the first 2 weeks, people was flying to Florida, like $50 tickets. You know what I mean? I'm thinking it was a breeze. You know what I mean? Then it really set in. Like, nah, dog, this is called a pandemic, dog. Like, people die in this.
Yes.
This ain't like school stopping. So I mean, from there on to like I said, I got the privilege where I was studying in the field of public health, which is, you know what I mean? So you got to think about it. I got a job because of a pandemic. So my initial job, I was working for DHEC doing like epidemiology stuff, like looking at numbers all throughout the time. But my first thought, man, when it really hit, first thought though, real talk, when I was in North Carolina, I was like, dang, my people in Sumter about to be hurt. Because because kids in Sumter already don't got access to resources. They already don't got access to good education. You know what I mean? They already lacking mentorship. They already lacking places they can go and have some type of cohesive whatever together. You know what I'm saying? Unity. It's a limited place. So when COVID hit, I was like, that's done. Like, they already don't got spots like that. So I mean, to me, it lit a fire to me. Like, man, we got more work done. We got to do more work now than we ever did before. You know what I mean? So it really charged me up to be like, dang, I got to get in I want to come back home even more, because I was like, man, I know it's a gap I can fill. You know, so like, I know everybody's mental health is different right now too. So I mean, that was something I tapped into as well. So I mean, right now, my current position, I'm a suicide prevention outreach coordinator. So like, I work for the state doing suicide prevention and providing, like, going into barbershops, going into churches, going into bars, going into these places that, man, like Jabaar already got people that listen to him. I mean, he already got people that tell him stuff that he like, man, that's deep. But what if I gave the barber the same resources that the mental health provider know? And we already know that more people die outside of going into those resources than they do actually going in there. So if he knows the things that the mental health provider knows, he can do his part and at least get them to the same phase of being helpful to get help. So I mean, it's different angles, man, and I just think, man, it's a reset. 2020 was a reset. You know what I mean? The things they told us that we couldn't do, we pulled off in 2020. You know what I mean? So that's how I saw it. Yeah.
So even with one thing I forgot to mention also, even with social injustice, social reform, like, Minnesota was the hotbed for a year.
Yeah.
For any social injustice, anything going on pertaining to Black Lives Matter movements, police brutality, police injustice, like that on top of a global pandemic, on top of a major iconic figure's death, like, it was a lot. How did you handle that?
The social injustice piece or the COVID thing?
Unpack them all.
Let me just deal with COVID for a moment. I'll tell you, COVID was it was unprecedented for us, and I will tell you, just from talking to a lot of community leaders, a lot of church leaders, we were just trying to figure it out. A lot of it was trying to figure it out. And one of the things that I'm thankful for is there was some things that the community did to come together for social injustice, as well as, you know, highlighting the impacts of COVID. One of the things that I'm most thankful for is even being able to partner with your granddad, you know, and some other community leaders to really bring some awareness to racism, to social injustice, to discrimination. And I think Sumter, and honestly, you know, to my surprise, Sumter stood up to the plate, and it was a diverse group of support. And that group that was formed, and your granddad was one of the leaders in that. That group is still together today, and has every intention of staying. I look at situations like Jabaar. I look at his situation. Jabaar could have done like many other barbers did and said, man, this is it, you know, and started licking his wounds and crying. But Jabaar got creative, and he figured it out. How can I continue to provide this service? And he figured it out. And and that was one thing I have an enormous amount of respect for him, because he didn't give up. And it's not just him, but I'll say that because I know him and I know his story. But there are so many other people that really didn't give up. They didn't quit. They didn't let it defeat them, although it negatively impacted a lot of people. And I think probably everybody in this room know of somebody close to them that was adversely impacted by COVID. But yet we persevered and we made it through. So I think COVID was a learning experience on multiple levels. The social injustice, man, I'm gonna be honest with you, that from my generation, that was the biggest hurt for me.
I remember them conversations we had on the phone.
We've had some conversations.
I don't think I ever heard you sound that frustrated about anything you've seen on TV in a long time.
It hurt because it's like you still have people trying to justify something that's so obvious.
Yeah.
And the divide, the political divide, the social divide that we're seeing, it hurt. And one of the things that hurt me the most was, I'm like, my children has to be brought up in this environment of the most divisive era in my lifetime. I'm not saying it's the most divisive era in the history of our country, because we've had civil rights, before my time. We've had the Civil War even was a divisive time in our country. But in my lifetime, it's the most divisive time, and my heartbreak is that my kids had to experience this and have to witness this as their reality. So.
I think for me, it was, like your dad was saying, my mindset went into grind mode, because I was already like starting to implement appointments years ago. So I was already doing appointments when everybody else was still doing walk-ins. So I already had the situation in place. I already had the program in place. Yeah. So when I went into it, I just went into grind mode. I didn't know. I was scared, because I was like, man, I got to shut my business. I just opened up my business. I was just starting to get money, and it was just like, bam, it just hit. So I was going to go from house to house, and my partner Chris over at H&J, shout out to H&J Barbershop, he was like, yo, man, you can come over to the crib.
Shout out H&J for real. Rest in peace, Mike, too.
Yeah. Rest in peace to Mike. He had chairs. We was in there, man. We had a fan. Shout out to his family. Yeah. And we was in there. I was there running like I was in the shop. I had my appointments going. Shout out to my man Kyle and Rhonda over there. They was coming all the time. They was keeping their appointments going, and I just had everything going, and then bam, they opened back up. And matter of fact, it really helped me out. COVID helped me. You know what I'm saying? RIP to the people that died, but it really helped me out to really understand how to do certain things differently. Patience, pace, because it slowed you all the way down.
I'm gonna tell y'all something too. This brother right here, Jabaar is the truth. I believe in this brother, and I'll just tell you everything he said I can attest to. And I even remember when Jabaar did come back in the shop, Jabaar set the level, in my opinion, with other barbers. He said, you're not coming in here without a mask, even if it means me losing some business. You're gonna have a mask, you're gonna check your temperature. You come in here coughing and sneezing if you want to, you got to go.
That fogger.
Jabaar, he got a fogger, Jabaar got a fogger. Matter of fact, he turned me on.
He loved that fogger, man.
He was tapped in, man.
Yeah. But he became creative. He said he was nervous, but listen, he didn't allow that nervousness or that fear to shut him down, but he used it as fuel. The other thing was just to tell you how much I'm committed to this man. He talks about me a whole lot, but there were times I told Jabaar, I come to Jabaar about 3 times a week.
For what?
I told to get my scalp massage. I told him 3 times a week. I told Jabaar, I continue to pay Jabaar what I would pay him, even though I wasn't getting cut, because I wanted him to win. I didn't want him to lose as a barber because business was down. So I said, bro, this is what I'm going to do as long as I can. So I continue to sew with him, even though I wasn't sitting in the chair.
And that's why
that's my commitment to him.
Like, it ain't even, the barbershop. It ain't even about a haircut.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You build relationships, man. I tap in. I'm just thankful that God just sees me. And I get it from my mom, Pat Carmack, man. She is the best. But she's a people person. And I be like, man, I be tired. I be like, man, yo, I gotta be here. I love doing this.
Man, it's therapy for a lot of people. A lot of, especially in the black community, we don't like mental health is still a growing concept.
But we embarrassed about mental health.
Barbershop is not a growing concept. Like, people look forward to coming in here on Saturday morning before they go out and do everything on their day. You know what I'm saying? No, but so we're gonna segue in here. Miss Rhonda, can you introduce yourself for those that aren't aware?
I am Rhonda Russell. I'm a longtime friend of Jabaar. but we have a friendship. That's the thing, and that's the key. I'm also a business owner for Rhonda Russell for jewelry, and I'm also a certified life coach. But I want to chime in on the COVID part. I didn't hear nobody mention something about tuning into God. Because
Preacher, man.
you don't
Shame on
think
you.
that He made this happen
Oh yeah, for sure.
for people to get closer to family, get closer to yourself, and get closer to the Word.
Yeah.
That's one thing I profess to my son. That's the number one thing. Everything else comes after.
Absolutely.
But if you have God, you pray, He's going to guide you. Yeah, it's not going to be easy. And it's going to be bumps in the road. But He's going to work. If He got you to that bump, you think He's not going to get you over it?
Right. And I think you talking to full men of faith right here. So and I tell you what, when I tested positive, because I tested positive right after Christmas time. Thankfully, it was right after Christmas time. You know, we had our distance Christmas, we had our distance Thanksgivings, you know, and kind of observed the guidelines as needed. But then it's like you seeing it happen. It's like, oh, I feel sorry for him. And then it's you, and it's like people die from this, and I'm like, hold up.
Right.
So now I'm every day I'm here. Just like because you don't know, you lose your smell, you can't taste nothing, and so it's almost like oh snap, like I'm really going through it, you know, and it really got real. It really got
And
real
to be
fast.
honest, it's 2021 we'll be in September, right? My brother just tested positive for the first time. He didn't believe it was real until it was him.
Wow.
And he's in Charlotte. And he's going through it, like the chills, the can't taste, can't smell. He's like, this is the flu time.
Right.
He's always active. He's a chef. So he's never, working out, basketball, everything. He's like, I never had nothing to put me down. And he's down. But then also it's a reality. While you down, what you really want out of life?
Correct. Prioritization.
COVID didn't teach you how many people you seen that had businesses. All of a sudden come with LLCs, and I can get no PPP loans.
Right.
But real life, I got a talent. Oh, I know how to sew. Let me go ahead and make these masks to match people out there.
Correct.
You think masks didn't come up and people didn't flourish off of the masks and the sewing and the stitching and different masks? Oh, you like Eagles. Oh, you like the Brown. Oh, let me go ahead and get these men.
Cowboys.
Cowgirls. Okay. But it's just you tapping into your talent. It makes you really think of what is really important in life.
Right.
If
That's
God
true.
ain't number one and your family number two, your priorities ain't right. And I didn't know nothing about this today, but to see, because I have a young son.
Yeah.
It's me and him right now.
That's true.
My son, my fiance, he lost his father 10 years ago. 9 years ago, 10 years, it will be 10 years next year. But let me tell you something. I look at that life totally different.
Right.
Because I'm a young mother. Also, I still say I'm young. I'm 41. But I'm happy to say my age because sometimes 41 look like 21.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's the life we live. And like your father said, stress. Oh, you don't deal with that.
No.
During the pandemic, it's like my job ain't gonna stress me. Because I'm at a point in my life that I want my business to overcome my corporate world. So I can get out of corporate world and we sitting pretty.
Correct.
Because it's about him. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm invested in him. He's an athlete. He plays basketball and football. So I'm there at every game. If I gotta travel 2 hours, so I'm there.
You go, mama.
Yeah.
Go, mama.
Because that one thing he gonna see is his mom in the stand.
With the shirt on and everything.
The shirt on, get somebody get it made, everything. Number my son, my heart is on the field.
Calling loud.
That's like, I'm not one about to be quiet, I hear you. You gonna remember that.
That's good.
Because one thing I always tell him, I'm his number one fan.
That's right.
I'm gonna have your back no matter what, just don't ever lie to me.
Right.
I can't hold you down when you start lying. Even though you gonna know it's gonna break my heart, I'm your mother.
Yes.
Hey,
My mama said the same thing.
Because I know you gonna live your life. You gonna do wrong. You supposed to.
Yeah.
But don't do wrong to the point that it gets you a record or crime or something like that. No, you don't make mistakes. He lost a game this week. But what he said to me, it didn't hurt my heart, but it was like, oh, it made my heart smile. Because he knows his plan. He's like, oh, you make mistakes, but you learn from them. I'm ready to go for the next game.
You know, that's interesting you say that too. And what I'm hearing even as you're talking is that you invest in him also. You invest you invest in him, and it just reminded me of something. The nickname that I gave my son when he was young was Champ. He hadn't won anything, he hadn't competed in anything, but I called him Champ, and I spoke that into him. You're gonna compete and you're gonna win. You're not gonna. Sometimes you may have some bumps in the road. You may have, but I spoke Champ in his life because that's what I want him to hear. That's what I want him to remember. That's the image I want him to see of himself as a winner, regardless of what somebody else calls him, regardless of even sometimes how he may view himself through some failures or let himself down. At the end of the day, you are a winner. You're a champ, and so I speak that into him. And I spoke that to him. That's my name for him, Champ.
My first thought is, man, these dudes, Kyle. The little homies that come in is like, man, I don't want them. They still got a life to live. This is what they have to deal with. So we can't stop because we scared or fearful. They see this as, man, this is just what I know the world is right now. You know what I mean? And I can speak of her son because I able to see they was practicing and stuff like that. He was playing with his team, man. He's a super mature dude, and I see why. Because his mom's been pouring, his mom was investing in him. My mom was investing in me. She was investing academically, athletically, all these different avenues. She was investing in me. So when I got a certain age, I could only fall for it so hard because I knew I had God first in my family name on my back. And I got my mom, my dad, whoever else to who's gonna see me go through this journey. And I knew they poured so much into me. What would it look like for me not to come back and pour back into my family, into my community, into my bros, my family, whoever it might be, because they did so much for me. And I think, we can't ask, the conversation sometimes like, why don't guys come back and do such and such here? Like, well, what did you do for them? Yeah. What did you provide for them? What type of outlet did you do for them? Like, we can't ask these young dudes, these young women to come back home and do all these different amazing things if you hadn't provided any type of avenue for them and they had to get it out of the mud, quote unquote, which is a fake thing anyways, because self-made stuff is fake. You know what I mean? Self-made, you know what I mean? Like, it's all types of people give you stories of people who we think are self-made, but they were developed by individuals who were successful. We just didn't know about it. Support system.
So this is my last point. My last question I want to ask. The concept, all you have is all you need. For one, let's give it some context here. You came back after grad school at Campbell University, North Carolina. You went off, did exceptional things, got accolades. Doing your thing with Amway and everything like that. You was really doing it. You was really doing the thing. You come back home, you see there's a need. You leverage all your assets here. You do a great job with the Diamond Stacks Classic. Shout out to the Diamond Stacks Classic, by the way. Jabaar, you have had opportunities to coach AAU teams in Columbia. You had opportunities to relocate several times. Dad, you've been offered pastoring positions in other cities, other states, jobs in other cities, other states. Yet, all three of y'all have the same thing in common. Y'all decided to take root, build foundation here, and say, nah, we're going to dig in. All we have is all we need. Where does that come from? Why do people leave, and why did y'all not leave?
Well, we just, people had a certain type of identity with something that they wanted to use. You know what I mean? So a lot of young dudes, they used that Merc City thing and ran with it. Which, what does that even mean? You feel me? You walk around telling you a killer? Yeah. Like, that don't really add up, bro. That's not going to really lead you into the life that you really want to live. You know what I mean? So a lot of people say, get what you can and get out of here. You know what I mean? So that was preached to us for a long time, promoted. You understand? Like, a lot of dudes are just like, yo, let's get what we need to get and get out of something. But man, I saw people like a Jabaar early. I saw people like your pops earlier. I saw people like my granddad. I saw instrumental men and women in town where I was like, man, they made ways for themselves. They poured into me. They got a community that they know they can fill the void in. And think about, why would I stay up in Raleigh and provide a service where, and don't get me wrong, it's a decent area, but it's more people that look like me up there. So why don't I just come back home and do the same thing I could do here and get my community where it needs to be, instead of maybe providing that same thing for another community that might not value as much as my community would here. You know what I mean? So I figure I need to start home, start local to get the things done. So yeah, with the nonprofit that we was running, I was running that out of state for years now, me and the co-director. But I knew once we got back in, we could unify efforts. And that's the thing, man. We just got to unify efforts because we all doing good things. Everybody's doing something super solid. But the issue is, as our community, we want to stay in our own lane. You know what I mean? We don't want to help each other out. We don't want to give each other the blueprint. We don't want to support like how your pops was supporting Jabaar and, you know, in his endeavor, or vice versa. So I think I just had a pull. I had a grab. Man, I'm back in my. I live on the west side of town near Bernie Hope Center. You know what I mean? So like I knew when I came back home. I used to live near Sumter High School. My parents did well. You know what I mean? Middle class, black community. They did really good, and I saw what they did for me. But when I moved back home, I moved near my grandparents' side of town, and so I'm waking up seeing. I go from having meetings with millionaires to come back home and seeing a dude from across the street who's living underneath that house. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like the way my perspective in life is like changing every other hour. You know what I mean? Because I'm waking up seeing private school kids, and I'm seeing kids who walking outside at 9 o'clock at night with no shoes on. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like I see the difference between lifestyles and where I could get that kid to the next stage. Because the only difference between that kid and the other kids, that kid who's in certain areas has a support system, has a clean environment. He got people that care about him all the time. And the difference in this kid is, man, he's in an environment, man, that when he wakes up, it feels like a bear is behind him every day. So automatically, he's gonna feel anxiety, fear, and survival. You know what I mean? And so I came back home because of that, man, because I knew I could employ the stuff that I learned, plus my lived experiences, and really get some stuff done with people who are already moving.
I've been fortunate to be a lot of places and go a lot of places, and everybody's repping their city. You know, and I was getting ready to move down to Atlanta and do all of this and do all of that. And I was just like, man, I was talking to Pastor Gibson, and he said something to me, because I've been fortunate enough to get the Bates coaching job to be the boys basketball coach over there. And I just have a purpose here in this city. Like I can't, like I hold myself accountable to the point to where like, yo, like when I'm here, I wanna set trends. I wanna I don't know. I mean, it's a lot when you come from a small city, and you and like she was saying, you know, it's Merck City. Man, I didn't grow up in Merck City. I grew up in Sumter County. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot to come from a small town and impact. People think when I go to those summits, I'm showing off, I'm doing certain things, but no, I'm really going there. And I was there. My man Marcus Harvey, a very influential barber, he cuts a lot of millionaires' hairs. I mean, he gets flown out to cut people's hair. And when I went to the summit, I was scared to pull my phone out and to video it. You know what I'm saying? He was like, man, pull your phone out, man, show people where you from, that it's possible. So when I do go up on prices and I do certain things, like I said, it's not even about a haircut, it's about the experience. So I want to implement appointment time, being on your time, because people take the time to book with you. So I value your time. So, you know, I'm shampooing the hair, you're coming in, you're in and out. It's not a bunch of ridiculousness going on in here. You know what I'm saying? So I want to give back to the community and let them know, like, yo, it's possible for you to maximize what you're getting.
If you're gonna come back home, know what you're coming back to. You know, everybody don't got I knew myself enough and strong myself. When my first meeting, when I came back home, I sat with the city managers of the city. Because I wanted to see what they had planned for my city. You know what I mean? So I sat with these three individuals, and they telling me.
And people don't know that you have that access to them. You have that access.
They work for you.
Yeah.
So you gotta know, man. You gotta know who worked for you. You gotta know the system that's being played. And now that I know how stuff is ran, it's like basketball. Now that I know the rules, that we can take 3 dribbles, and that, you know what I mean?
Right.
You ain't calling travel in this play, but at this play you gonna call travel, and I know how the ref gonna call these games. And now I know how to play the game of basketball at a fair level. And that's why I wanted to come back home. I bet. Tell me how I need to move. Tell me the lies. Let me expose the lies. Because, you know, coming back home, my first year was like literally building, getting broken down, and building up again. So I mean, so when you go in different environments, know who quote unquote running it, and let them know that, hey man, my voice matter too. You know what I'm saying? Kyle's voice matter, Deric's voice, all our voices matter, because if I'm plugged in, that means they plugged in. Correct. You know what I mean? And so you got to get into these avenues and sectors, man, and let them know, man, you a man of God and you a man of some knowledge. And once they know those two things, they ain't gonna buy you, but you know what I'm saying? They don't know it so much. Because they gonna hate you, and that's gonna be on them.
And the main thing we're dealing with in small rural areas and towns is the mindset. It's just the mindset. So people think that it's not possible. So when you show them that it's possible, just like John Morant going number 2 in the draft, like that is major for, shout out to John. It's major for our city. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's from that dirt road down there off of Catch-All Road, and this boy went number 2 in the draft. So it's helping kids like Kyle to be like, yo, hey, it's possible. I remember when he came to the camp, I told his mom, I was like, yo, I didn't want to tell her because we didn't know. So I was like, yo, hey, you better, send him to the camp. Next thing you know, he meets Ja. And it's like, yo, like all of these kids to meet him, and now he's rookie of the year. So now he's giving the kids the opportunity to see like, yo, hey, dedication, hard work, consistency. Hey, it's no rocket science in it. Our problem is we don't want to put that work in. Real work. A lot of kids coming out, tell the kids, hey, leave your name outside. Come in here with your game. You know what I'm saying? So
let me say a couple things real quick, and I'll let you go from there. But I'll just say this for the sake of everybody here. Every environment that you are placed in, you have something to give and something to receive. A lot of times we'll go into an environment and we'll figure, okay, I came here to help you, or I came here to give you this. I got what you need. That's an arrogant and prideful mindset, and you got to be careful with that. You need to always learn, always be teachable, always be looking for an opportunity to learn. So every environment you're placed in, you have something to give, whether you're in school or what, it doesn't matter. You have something to receive and something to give. And Jabaar, I told you when this coaching thing came up, I told you this is more than basketball.
Right.
You have an opportunity to invest in these young men's lives that's gonna, some of them may not make it in basketball.
Right.
But you have an opportunity to invest in their lives, Jabaar, and that is a gift, man. That's a gift, man. I encourage you to really, really maximize that. You got an opportunity to do some good in those guys' lives in a way that they'll never forget. I remember my high school football coach to this day. I'm 53 years old. I remember my high school football coach and the impact he had on my life to this day. So I'm just saying the impact you'll have on these guys, man, will last them their lifetime.
You asked, you know what I'm saying, like when was our start into like adulthood? And I was like, yo, being a parent, I'm gonna tell you, if it wasn't for, like I said, Ariane and Bryce, you know what I'm saying, I get emotional, just thinking about my kids, man. And Bryce is really the reason why, and God bless today, my best friend Eric, they are the reasons why, like, I go so hard. Like, and I told my son when all them kids was over there at the gas station before the shooting happened, and I went home and I was like, man, you know what? I said, man, I thank you. He was like, Dad, what are you talking about? I thank you for holding me accountable, because I cannot come out here in this community. I don't want y'all, I hear y'all be talking about them parents being on, look who got busted and this, that. Y'all hold me accountable, and I know my influence in this community, and I know, it's like when I hear Sterling, hey, yo, what's up, OG? I'm like, wow, like, he don't realize it, but like, I'm looking at him. Like, I need that energy. Or when I see you, I don't just repost. No, I be like, yo, Deric, we talked about this stuff. Or when I see Rhonda, I be like, yo, Rhonda, she up on there, she tapping in. All the girls I be like, yep, you better. And then I'm just gonna pop in there and be like, hey, yo, what's up, Jabaar? Boom. I be like, okay, bam, bring your stuff. I want it all. Or like with your pop, me and your pop, I knew about him being the pastor of the church before a lot of people knew. But we was just talking. I was like, yo, hey, you are that deal. And we got to speak life into our kids. We got to speak life into this stuff, man. You got it. It's like how your pop was telling you, like, yo, hey, what's up, champ? You don't realize the power of the tongue. Yeah, correct. The tongue is very, very powerful. That's why I'm so thankful to be in this position right here, man. I'm thankful. Y'all don't even get it. Like, I'm always green.
He tap in, like, him losing his friend. We lost Eric. That's how we got Eric. Right? I remember his Eric, and when he passed away, and I was probably in middle school-ish. I remember that.
Yeah, we both was.
Yeah, we both were pretty young. I remember that happened. And the older dudes being affected at the Y. You know what I mean? Because growing up, man, the YMCA was like
an awkward time.
It was the center of like getting, you know what I mean, hooping, the mentorship, old heads, and I remember that happening. So when R.E. passed away and he drowned, my first thought was like, man, life can be here and gone. Woo! And then my thought was about legacy building. Like, man, he passed away at 19, 20. You know what I mean? He didn't have a life to live. Then he passed away before seeing his daughter. You know what I mean? So people didn't know, like, a year before, me and he was just having conversations about how he was gonna get back in school and provide for his daughter and work in different areas. And he had a plan. You know what I mean? And so me seeing that kickstarted my mind like, man, like if I ain't doing nothing right now, there is no like, man, I'm gonna wait till my time happens.
Nah.
Or there is no like generation next. Like Cal, he right now.
Yeah.
You feel me? Me and you right now. There is no more the next generation because as we see, that could stall out. It could be a whole nother generation coming upon that don't got the proper resources, the proper knowledge, the proper vision. And so, man, I immediately started tapping into like a legacy. Like, what does that look like? If I'm not doing something right now that's not gonna help my grandkids, I'm out here playing around low key. You know what I mean? I'm really playing around if I'm not doing things that's not gonna help the next person or somebody that's not coming under my name soon enough.
Ain't nothing like somebody who you've touched, and I'm a living witness to this. Ain't nothing like somebody that you touched come back to you, and their parents come back to you and be like, "Yo, hey, man, you the reason why he in position. Like, I just thank you for your time." And people don't realize when you have your own children and you're investing and putting into other people's kids, you're sowing in. You got to have a balance. It's tough. People don't get it. And they steady want to run their mouth and they want to say certain things. They don't understand. So I know I'm here for a purpose. I know I'm in Sumter County because, like I said, I had plenty of opportunity to go places, but every time I went somewhere, it didn't work. And I always came back home. I was like, yo, God, why you have me here? Then, bam, here go the shop. Bam, here go the coaching position. I'm coaching AAU. I'm coaching football. I'm like, yo, Jabaar, what are you doing? You have to understand why you're in position. And then you got to surround yourself around them type of people. Your dad told me you got to be mindful of that. You got to raise the cost what it takes people to get close to you. Because you're giving people energy, you're giving people love, and then they ain't giving you nothing in return. You're like, yo, what are you doing? So when I started raising that cost, that's why I'm so thankful for your father. When I started raising that cost, I saw people start removing themselves, and I saw the people who I needed coming into my life. And I'm like, yo, I get it now. Okay, yeah, all right.
So we're going to get out of here. We're going to get into rapid fire before we go, though. I believe, knowledge is power. Because I believe knowledge is power. I'm trying to keep my head in books more so nowadays. Whether it's self-help, whether it's a fictional novel, whatever the case may be. Try to stay sharp as far as that's concerned. What books y'all reading right now, if any? If y'all not reading any, what's some recommendations for those that are reading? For me personally, I'm reading The Promised Land, Barack Obama's new book. It's a reader. It's a reader. Just a great deep dive into that whole 8 years. You know what I'm saying? And how crazy it was. Some of the things that we probably would have never saw or heard about otherwise if he hadn't opened up about it. It's pretty good. I'm not done with it yet, but that's what I'm reading right now. Start with what you're reading.
I just finished Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. Okay. And like, you should read that joint because it really tap into like breaking down. When I remember you telling me about a support system. Like one of his stories in that book is talking about how people think Bill Gates is just like a genius, right? And we hold Bill Gates in high regards and whatnot. Man, Bill Gates was tapped in to the dude who was the first software engineer since he was 13 years old. You know what I feel me? Wow. So Bill Gates been working at with the top appliances, top software since he was 13. He put in 10,000 hours by the time he got Microsoft, and in Microsoft and developed all these other things. And so a lot of people feel like, man, you gotta be a genius or you gotta be this one and only person. Like, nah, bruh. If you put in the hours, you put in the work, you can be just like these other dudes. So it's called Outliers, man. It really kind of gives you perspective of not falling into the believing like, if I don't get born into this type of system, if I don't come from this person, if my mom and dad's not this, I can't be this. It's all about getting yourself around individuals who have been successful, man, and implementing those practices, bro. So yeah.
I think my book that I read and I'm still, I go back and reference to it, it's Kingdom Man with Tony Evans. Yeah, that's a very, I think for me it's helped me out. It's really helped me out on how to be a man, how to be a king, how to understand my position as a man. So yeah, Kingdom Man is a dope read.
I got that joint at the crib right now on the table. I'm about to tap into it.
Yeah, tap into it, especially at your age.
Right.
It's really gonna help you out to understand your position.
Well, for the second time, I went back to read Purpose of Living Life.
That's good.
That's a good read.
That's a classic.
That's a
classic. That's a classic. That's a classic. That's a classic.
Yeah, that's Lord.
That's a classic.
You gotta tap into worship. And at this season too, they didn't tell or show anybody, what's your purpose?
Right.
You can't ask somebody, what do you think my purpose is? You got to know.
Yeah.
Right.
They're gonna make up something for you.
Right.
That's true.
And I can tell you by reading it the second time, it's stuff that I missed.
Right.
From the first
That's
time.
how it is. That's usually how it is.
That's how it be.
Yeah, mine is. I'm reading a book called "I Didn't See It Coming" by Carey Nieuwhof. He's a leadership guru, I'll say. But it's about not only anticipating what's happening next, being able to sort of assess the times and anticipate what's coming, but then also more importantly how to respond when you get blindsided. Didn't see it coming. How do you respond when you get hit by COVID and didn't see it coming? When you get hit by different things in life and didn't see it coming.
Oh, it's all mindset. I would strongly recommend a Christian book by it's called Training Camp by Ben Gordon. It is a mindset book. It's a football book, but it's basically based off of sports. So I would strongly recommend. I've given it to 2 people that were going through injuries and not understanding like why they was like why me. And the book is a Christian book, and it's very, very dope. And you wouldn't even at the end of the book it really hit you with something. It's like wow. So yeah, Training Camp.
I'll say one more thing about the book I mentioned. I didn't see it coming. Carey Nieuwhof, he had suffered burnout and the depression and stuff that's so associated with that. And that's one of the main things he talks about in that book also is his experience there and some things that he didn't recognize that was leading him to that. And then just some tools on how to be able to deal with it. Because a lot of people are going through burnout or experience burnout and don't even really realize it until it's too late.
I think it's important, man, that we read, bro. Man, we got to read. Growing up, be like, yo, if you don't want a black man to know something, put it in the book. That's legit.
That is real.
That's legit,
that
man.
Is real.
So like, we got to get out of the man. Dog, I don't want to read because for so long these teachers had us reading dumb stuff. Well, that's because the system ain't built for you to read things that we supposed to be reading. So get around somebody, man. It's crazy. A dude from Waco, Texas, a white guy, man. He put me on this book called Across in the Lynching Tree. And it has to do with social prejudice. It has to do with an individual in the 1940s, man, who dealt with these issues of social injustice, how to deal with it as a black man, and like, man, that just shows you, like, I got access from this dude from the most racist town in America, this white dude. If I didn't go to grad school, if I had the privilege of all these other things, man, I wouldn't have access to this. So in my mind, I was like, man, imagine a kid who's who's in trade school and won't get access to this, or who's in the military. So I think it's up to us to fill those gaps of resources where I'm like, Cal, when you ready, bro, I got a book for you, dog, and we gonna talk about it. You ain't gotta read it all. Read these first 5 pages and we gonna chop it up. You know what I mean? So man, it's important we read.
And I'll tell you too, one of my previous jobs I did a lot of driving. Interestingly, I'm about to jump into another job. I'm doing some more driving too. I hadn't told you about it yet. I'll tell you about it later.
Oh, yeah.
But one of the things I did, Sterling, I'll probably say the last 6-7 books. Audiobooks.
Yeah, me too, man.
While I'm driving, get that windshield time, man. So if you can't, some people, if you don't get the hard, if you get in a situation to where you work it out, or you're in a situation you can have your earbuds on, audiobooks too. Don't sleep on those.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in that. Like, one of my favorite verses in the Bible says, my people perish for a lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
that's true.
At one point in time, you have to stop looking at the finger that you're pointing and realize that it's 3 other ones pointing back at you, and say, I need to do better and level up on my regards. But yeah, tighten that one up on me real quick. We're gonna close it out. So it's on me. It's tight. But I mean, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate everybody that tapped in. I appreciate the cameo that Miss Rhonda came and gave. You know what I'm saying?
Need a woman's touch.
I see why you told her. I see why you told her to come in. She
came in like a beast.
She came in and did the thing, man. But this is the first of many. This is not going to be the only conversation in Sumter. This is not going to be the only conversation that y'all see on this channel. But stay tuned, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Help the algorithm, help me, help you. All right. Until then, it's all love. I'm going to see y'all next time.